Welcome back to the Tiga Tactics podcast, a show about self-defense for civilians by civilians. We discuss all things personal protection, including martial arts, combat sports, and street combatives. Our resident MANs, martial arts nerds, include co-founder of Tiga Tactics and holder of black belts in 9 different styles, Dr. Conrad Bui.
Hey, everybody.
We also have black belt holder in 4 different styles, the other co-founder, Patrick Vuong.
What's cracking, my combatives, people?
And I am your other co-host, retired Army Special Forces soldier and champion obstacle course racing athlete, Evan Ultra-OCR man Perperis. We got a fun topic today, but before we get to that, a quick shout out to this episode's sponsor, Vulpes Training. I know a bunch of you guys just got Vulpes Training. Conrad, why don't you give me some initial thoughts on one of the products you got that are blowing up?
Wow. I have to say quality. That one, the word that sprung to my mind right away was quality. This thing is going to outlast me, and I can't wait to use it.
One of the products I got was a Chris sword. For those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a snake-shaped serpentine type blade. It's awesome. It's awesome. The artistry that went into it, quality-wise, I can definitely bang with it, and it'll last forever, like Conrad said. But if you look at it carefully with the little details, he makes the handle look like wood, even though it's made out of polymer. Oh, I'm really impressed. I can't wait to really put it to good use.
Awesome. Yeah, check out the links down in the show notes down below. And let's jump into today's episode, talking about the defensive mindset slogan from Tiga Tactics. So, Patrick, why don't you share with us what that slogan is, and then we'll deep dive it a little bit.
Yeah. Our slogan is 3 parts, and it's stay alert, stay humble, stay kind.
So how did you guys end up coming up with that one specifically? Because it's an odd slogan for a self-defense company.
Yeah, Conrad, why don't you enlighten the folks here with how you came up with it?
Well, Tiga meaning 3 in Indonesian. So we like to have things in sets of 3s. It's easy to remember. And so, of course, almost every self-defense, whether you go to a self-defense class or a concealed carry class or any type of personal protection class, the first thing they're going to teach you about is situational awareness. So that's on the top of our list. We, instead of using the word situational awareness, we simply say stay alert, be alert out there, and then be humble, and then be kind. And so why don't we just deep dive into each one of these? And yeah, the humble and kind, that's just the nerdiness. That's just also us just saying, we're not badasses. We're not out to kick anyone's butts. We're not out to have this false sense of bravado. We're just normal, everyday guys trying to live a good life. And that humble and kind fit right into there.
That says the man with 9 black belts.
I'm the biggest nerd.
Situational awareness, I feel like, is very common for self-defense companies. I feel like we've touched on that before, but let's quickly go over a couple of key pointers for situational awareness, aka stay alert.
Stay alert, yeah. For me, I think of it as a radar system that I switch on and I can switch off. And that's key. That's important because if you're always hyper aware all the time, you're going to burn out mentally, and that's also a bad thing. But you don't want to be completely clueless and have no awareness whatsoever. And so I think of it as a radar system. So I think of it as I'm on public, boom, I turn it on. And whether you want to think of it as a submarine or like Daredevil with his extra senses, it's always on. You're always perceiving information, but not to the point where you're paranoid. So you're using your eyesight, you're using your hearing, you're using your gut instincts. Because to me, intuition is basically all your senses sending signals from your subconscious to your conscious mind. And it's being alert to everybody that's around you, all the objects around you, the ground in front of you, because you may slip and fall, and accidents are probably one of the biggest causes of death actually in America. It's not terrorism or murder. It's actually it's either going to be a health issue or it's going to be an accident. And so you should be aware, because accidents do happen, and people do die a lot from simple accidents. So being aware of also your position, because a lot of people talk about situational awareness, but I'm I'm big on positional awareness, and that may be semantics, but I have to be aware of like my position in relation to my situation. So if I'm sitting down and I perceive a threat, I need to recognize that in my current position, I'm not in the greatest quote unquote position to respond to that. So I need to change my position. I may need to stand up. I may need to turn around and run away. So understanding all of those little nuances in your environment is really important.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely good pointers there. What else, Conrad? Give me a couple other situational awareness tips. And like I said, I know we've talked about it on the podcast, but it could always bear good repeating.
Absolutely. I think being alert, that takes focus, that takes concentration, that takes calories, and that takes brain cells to use, because some people, they believe, or they subscribe to this theory that we're trying to always try to seek the lowest level of activity because our ancestors had limited amount of calories, limited amount of resources. So our body defaults to wanting to try to be chill and relax and just kind of go with the flow, if you will, and just kind of zone out, because that doesn't burn a lot of calories. And so luckily, modern day or modern society, we have plenty of calories. So it would behoove us to crank up our thinking a little bit, use those brain cells, and really pay attention to our environment. Yeah, and it's so easy to pay lip service to this, saying, yeah, I'm alert, I'm alert. I'll tell you what, I try to be alert, and I'll be honest, I'm not alert 100% of the time. When I'm driving, sometimes I'll catch myself just kind of zoning out, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see that person, or something like that. So it takes conscious effort. It takes a lot of work to be conscious as often as you can. So it's always, for me, a cycle of being alert, then slowly zoning out, then pulling myself back, recognizing that, and being alert again. And so, if you want to look at it as a more of a daily thing and less of a tactical thing, like situational awareness, uh, people have used the word mindfulness. In Buddhism, we use the word mindfulness as well too, and it's a lot of training on how to be present, be one with the moment. And it's a hard thing to do. One thing that Buddhists use, and I use as well too, and it's not a religious thing. It's just a tool, like a push-up. A push-up doesn't belong to any denomination or religion or anything like that. It's just a tool. And just focusing on your breath, just breathing in, breathing out, trying to feel your breath coming in, your breath coming out, being aware of the moment. And like what Patrick was saying, be aware of your body, be aware of the weight of each of your legs, of your hands, being aware of your surroundings. That's hard to do. And that's why it takes what people would say meditation. But I would say it's training, it's mental training. And there's research that shows, when we practice this mindfulness, this alertness, this being present from moment to moment, it can improve our memory. There's research that shows it can help reduce stress and anxiety. It can help us regulate our emotions better, because I know if I'm present, if I'm aware, I can feel that anger rising up in me. I can feel that jealousy rising up in me. I can feel that frustration rising up in me. And if I'm present and I'm aware, I can feel that early on, so that I don't act on those emotions. And of course, when I act on my emotions, I do stupid stuff. So hopefully, by being aware, I can catch those emotions. And so, there's also research that shows being alert, of course, the catchphrase nowadays is mindfulness. That can help improve relationships that way as well. So it's not just about being tactical and surviving, the dangers outside. It's about living a better life. So I'm curious, Evan, shooting it back over to you, what kind of training did you have on staying alert, staying situationally aware as a special operations force soldier?
It kind of depended on the mission and depended on what we were doing, right? So for like typical combat stuff, it's generally like keeping your head on a swivel. They did things called 5s and 25s, where like every time you stopped your vehicle, you basically look for an immediate threat right outside like the vehicle, so like you're not going to step on a bomb. And then you look kind of like a little bit further out, and then you basically make rings of like paying attention to things. And then we also talked a lot about kind of indicators, but indicators for self-defense, that we talk about in like the seminars, like focused gaze and clenching your fist and blading your body. We didn't really cover that in the military. It was mostly large scale indicators. So like lack of people on the street when there should be people on the street. No kids out in the neighborhood when there's normally, it was deviation from baseline, right? So we look at what our baseline in that society looks like and what has changed and why would that change be happening. And then like specifically for different threats, like a car bomb or a roadside bomb, there's like specific indicators that you can look for that are specific to those things. Like car bombs, a lot of times they use old beat up vehicles because they don't want to, like, you don't want to blow up a new Mercedes, right? That seems like a waste of money. They tend to ride really low, right? Because if you're loaded them with explosives, the suspension's bottomed out. They're typically driven by a male in his 20s to 30s. There's no other people in the car, right? Because you're not going to waste multiple people when one will do the job. And then you look for, if you're close enough to see them like sweating or like, then you look for like the darty eyes or focused gaze, and you look for, and then we basically have essentially, what's the phrase? It's been a hot minute. Essentially, escalation of force, right? So if a car is approaching, you tell them to stop from a distance. You wave a flag, tell them to stop. You shine a laser, maybe. So you can shine a laser at them. You can shine a light at them, and then at that point, you escalate to shooting, whether it be a warning shot or directly into the driver of the vehicle to kind of stop the threat. So it's an escalation of force, not unlike the escalation of force you would use if like kind of countering someone who's unknown. And then you don't have to hit every step. You can jump, right? If it's a big threat, just like if someone attacked you, I mean, you can, and your life's in danger, you can jump to lethal threat. You don't have to set a boundary first. So same thing with like a car bomb or someone approaching you, right? Like you can jump right to shooting as long as you appropriately justify it and within legal rules of engagement. So.
Yeah, and I can see a lot of takeaways that we can bring into civilian life there. But we need to move forward to humble.
That's right. Yeah.
We can deep dive into these topics in later podcasts, because I think this alert thing, I could talk for an hour on this, because it's just such a part of our lives, to be alert and to live moment by moment, because life is fleeting. And if we don't catch each moment, it just passes us by so fast. But let's move forward.
Yeah. So how did you guys come up with like specifically the humble part? Because I wear a lot of different clothing, and the most comments I ever get is when I wear my Tiga Tactics jacket, which says the stay alert, stay humble, stay kind. I've had people comment in the airport. I've had people comment in restaurants, and I've had people who are like clearly not in the self-defense world. They're like, "Oh, I really like your jacket," and I'm like, "Oh, that's odd."
Very cool.
So, like, where did the humbleness come from?
I would say the humbleness comes from seeing people make big mistakes not being humble. Just humbleness just helps you avoid so many landmines. You want to start off, Patrick?
Yeah, no, I agree. So the way, it's a 3-part defensive mindset, right? So we talked about the first part. This is the second part, and this is what I call the internal check. And when we get to stay kind, that will be the external behavior. So we have the general radar, and this is the internal check. And this is the awareness of ourselves. We're checking our own egos at the door. Because as Conrad said, he's seen tons of people because if people haven't listened to previous podcasts, Conrad used to be a bar bouncer and a security professional. So he's seen a lot of violence go down in real life. And so that's where a lot of our reality-based training comes from. Whereas a lot of other, gotta call them bros and dudes, they're teaching people it's not self-defense. They're teaching people how to kill other people, and that's not what we're about. And so like their slogan, their defensive mindset slogans are like, unleash the warrior, stay deadly, crush everything, and that we're the exact opposite of that, because we want to remain peaceful, and that starts off with humility, understanding that we can destroy another person with our bare hands, but we're going to check our ego so that we do not escalate to that point. As Conrad mentioned before, like, he's very aware, mindful of his emotions, and a lot of people aren't, and so they get angry, and then suddenly they get violent. And when you get violent in a bar where you're surrounded by 100 drunk people, you have no idea what any of these people will do. It's completely unpredictable. One person may have been able to sneak a knife into the bar. One person may just break a beer bottle and stab you with it. They could grab a bar stool and knock you over the head with it. So there are plenty of mistakes that could happen, and a lot of conflict that could be avoided if you just check your ego at the door and stay humble.
Yeah, the humbleness is really great advice. Like you said, how many people have gotten into troubles because they're not being humble, and like you talked about with that asocial violence where you don't know what people are going to do. It's just really sound advice. And if you're training self-defense, if you're training fighting, like the deadly and like the aggression, I feel like that's already implied. It's probably a good idea to like bring people back down and be like, just walk away. You'll be fine.
Right.
Go for it, Conrad.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I have been in trouble by not being humble. Training martial arts, having skills, it can really make somebody arrogant. And I've been there, and I've made a bunch of mistakes not being humble. And so I think it helps me avoid a bunch of potential landmines. And also, it's easy to learn when you're humble. You're kind of there. I try to have a mindset of a kid who's kind of playful and very curious. That helps me learn. Also, being humble, it's just like if you make a mistake, it's okay because people expect you to make a mistake when you're humble, So making mistakes is a terrific way to grow through life. If you're applying the effort and you're learning something new that takes effort, you're going to make mistakes. And by being humble, you can accept those mistakes. We've seen it in BJJ or Muay Thai. You've got this guy with a big chip on their shoulder. They come in and they get mangled. That maybe they're like, oh, these guys got lucky. They come in to get mangled again, and they disappear. Their ego just couldn't take it. I've seen it in Muay Thai. There's guys that come in, they just want to bang. They just want to prove a point, and they bang. And I tell them, calm down, dude, calm down. You're not going to last. They come back in, they bang some more. And of course, our guys are more skilled. We compete all the time, and they got thrashed. Of course, they might bang up some beginners, but then once they run into some of the competitors, they get trashed, and then they disappear because it's stressful sparring like that every time. And so by being humble, you're going to avoid those things. You're going to be able to learn better. And also tactically, you don't look so threatening. If you're walking around with this puffed up chest and you're just acting tough and staring everyone down, you're gonna attract some attention, and maybe not the positive type of attention that you're looking for. So by being humble, not just and even acting humble is fine. If you're super arrogant and you need to act humble, do that, because
I agree. Yeah.
that'll help you look less threatening. And when you're look less threatening, people don't expect things from you. And if you have to use your skills and you have skills, it'll be a big surprise on them as well too. So tactically, it's a sneak attack. So staying humble, it isn't just to be meek and things like that. There's a tactical reason for it as well.
Yeah, I really like this one. I think it's great advice. We mentioned on the podcast I'm in seminary, and this fits like right into like Christian values. And I wear the jacket around campus, and people seem to enjoy it. And, and especially in today's social media age, where I feel like humbleness is not a virtue that like is encouraged, right? It's all about me and what have I done, and look at me and pay attention to me and watch me do this dance challenge. I think it's a good reminder that humbleness is a good way to go through life. So
yeah, and how you're going through your schooling and everything right now. Yeah, you know, when I read that Jesus washed his disciples' feet, oh man, that brought a tear to my eyes because that is the the epitome of being humble to wash your students' feet. So yeah, it's a great lesson there as well too.
All right, let's keep on trucking to the final one of the defensive mindset. Be kind.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, this is the external behavior. We've got the radar, stay alert, which is the standard operating procedure. We got stay humble, which is the internal check, and now we got stay kind, which is the external behaviors, how you express it, how you express your defensive mindset, if you will. And there's multiple layers to this one. I think just in general, when you stay kind, you're less likely to get into any sort of conflicts. And if you're not getting into any conflicts, you're probably not going to get into any physical conflicts or confrontations as well. So you're basically winning every fight because you're avoiding all of them. And how do we do this? How do we stay kind in the face of road rage or just someone being a real a-hole? That ties into, again, the internal check. That's the humility, the stay humble part. You've just got to recognize, okay, I can destroy this person literally with one hand, but I'm going to check my ego and I'm just going to apologize to them, even though it's not my fault. I say, hey, I'm so sorry. Let's say you're in a bar, you bump into somebody, say, oh, I'm so sorry about that. Let me get you another beer. I'm being kind by offering this person another beer, even though they are the a-hole, right? I'm, as Conrad said, I'm using this tactically to win the fight by avoiding it in general, and just avoiding it in the first place. And there's other elements to staying kind and why you want to stay kind, and Conrad will touch on that next.
Right, and as my previous job as a bouncer, I always found that kindness worked for me. I saw some bouncers that were kind of dicks and whatnot, and sometimes people would wait for them to come out after work, and start trouble with them. And that never happened to me. So if we had to eject somebody because they were drunk or something and they were a danger to themselves, I would just approach their group of friends and say, hey, dude, your friend is totally wasted. He could fall, he could crack his head open. Let's go ahead and get him home and get him into bed because he's a danger to himself, bro. Let's get him home. And yeah, and so their friends would help walk him out. I wouldn't even touch the guy. And so just being kind, it solves a lot of problems. And being kind also, isn't for that person. Like sometimes someone cuts in front of me and I'm thinking, hey, I'll let him go because I'm kind to this person. Really, although I am kind to them, it's mostly for me. I know that if I say, hey, man, what the hell? Don't you see a line behind you? Uh, all of a sudden we start this confrontation and I just let him go, and maybe it took 15 seconds because he's in front of me, and that's fine, whatever. Or I've seen this in San Francisco, guys, or not guys, but just people at a stop sign. There's a faraway stop sign, and I've seen this several times in San Francisco. Both goes, and then one goes, and the other guys are flipping off each other. They're yelling and screaming, I was here first. And I saw one guy take out a slingshot and try to shoot the other car with a slingshot. Luckily, they didn't have firearms or anything like that. It can get crazy. And if it escalates to the point where, maybe you got out and you fought, what's the purpose of that stop sign, right? To help have some order to traffic. And now instead of wasting 10 seconds, you let that car go in front. Now you're wasting hours possibly, especially if the police comes and you get hauled off to jail or whatever. You're wasting hours and possibly injury, and who knows what this person could be packing or whatever. So being kind isn't just for that person, it's for you. It just makes life a lot easier. Some people think of it as weakness. I just think of it as what Sun Tzu said in The Art of War. He said, the highest victory is one without violence. The highest victory is one without anybody having to go to war. That is the highest victory. So if I can somehow make you my friend and open up that border a little easier and make life easier for the both of us, that's the ultimate victory. So being kind is totally about that. There's also scientific, well, not scientific, but there's some research on kindness out there, and it's not conclusive, but a lot of these research, it points to being kind actually makes you a happier person. It can reduce stress and anxiety. It can help you reduce depression as well too. It creates better social bonds, obviously, because nobody wants to be around an a-hole, right? And the cool thing is kindness is contagious. So when somebody is kind to me, research has shown that odds are I'll be kind to another person. And so it is contagious. So when I'm kind to somebody, I'm literally lighting a candle in this dark world. And this candle makes the room a little brighter. And if I light someone else's candle, that doesn't weaken the light in my candle. That just makes their light stronger as well too. And eventually the whole room lights up, almost like that video on Easter that you had, Evan.
Yeah,
So I'm
indeed.
just gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, you mentioned I've never been a bouncer, but you mentioned that approach of like going up to the group of friends. I think that's really clever. I've heard other bouncers describe basically a very similar approach that you're allowing the drunk guy who's causing a scene to save face by essentially using his friends to escort him out. That way, it's not a confrontation between a bouncer and the drunk guy. It's a confrontation, but it's his friends who already have that rapport with him who are like, "Hey man, let's go." Where things could get messy. Why don't we just hit up another bar? You're giving them that social out.
Right.
So that's one. Two, no one's like, I've never laid. No one's ever. Maybe not no one. I've never laid in bed at night and been like, man, I shouldn't have been so nice to people.
True.
like I don't know people that do that. Like it is a better way to go through life. Like I don't worry. You don't worry. I feel like you don't worry as much. I tend to be, even someone cuts me off, it's like, yeah, whatever. Just keep driving. It's not a big deal. I have very little road rage. I feel like it's, I don't get angry driving around. So I think that's just a better way to go through life. And then on top of that, like you were saying, like studies show that when you're like you said, when you're nice to people, they're nice to you. And I know for like, I wasn't nice to people in obstacle course racing community because I thought I would get some like sort of reciprocal benefit. But from my racing career, it has played out more times in compounding like positive benefits than I could possibly imagine. And I wasn't doing it to like, oh, this is going to be a great way to get ahead of people and like get more stuff. Like I was just nice to people because like it seems like the nice thing to do. And I like it opens so many doors. Or they say what you get more flies with honey than you do with shit, right?
Right.
So yeah, if for no other reason, if you're so if you need to fake being humble, like at least fake being kind, because I think it's a better business move.
Yeah, right. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, and then eventually you fake it long enough, you'll be like, oh, this is much better.
Yeah.
I should have been doing this all along. Any final thoughts before we kind of close it out?
No.
Yeah, one last thing, which is that mindset is really important. Defensive mindset is obviously really important. That's why it's the topic of this podcast. But there's a lot of people who will go online and say like mindset is everything. It's more important than technique and concepts, and that's kind of true, but also not. Anything can be inflated or conflated or misconstrued, and so to me, it's mindset does not trump superior training and better fitness. You know what I mean? Like if you're not training and you don't have any fitness level, you're not going to win this fight, even if your defensive mindset is like on point. So I just wanted to kind of balance that out.
Yeah, and also a lot of people, when they hear the word mindset, they're thinking like an athletic or aggressive mindset. Something like if I fight, I'm gonna fight till the death. Fight till the end. That's my mindset. That there's more to mindset than just that competitive mindset. It's a mindset of how are you gonna live your life? What are the guidelines that you're gonna follow in your daily life, not just in a confrontation. Because confrontation, again, that's a very small subject right there.
Yeah. All right. Let's final shout outs we need to give for upcoming events, etc.
Yeah. May 3rd to 4th, we'll be in Maryland for our knife and pistol defense seminar. There's only a few slots left. So if you're interested in coming, definitely sign up ASAP. We'll have a link in the show notes. But it's going to be a great time. It's focusing on how to defend yourself when you're empty-handed against either a knife wielding bad guy or a gun wielding bad guy. We'll teach that separately. We're not saying, hey, you're gonna fight a guy with both a gun and a knife. But this is not a John Wick movie. But it may happen, but very unlikely. Usually they'll be just armed with one weapon or the other. And so we'll approach each day. We'll be on a different weapon, and even though it's kind of a scary topic, it will be a lot of fun as well. And then in June, we have some plans for a possible webinar. I don't want to reveal it just yet, but if we make it happen, it's going to be a huge epic event that anybody around the world can attend because it will be online. And then in July 19th and 20th, we'll be in San Francisco to do the Northern California debut of our knife and pistol defense seminar.
Are we ready for the any August announcements or July announcements too, or no? Are those still in the works?
That last one was the July one. The San Francisco one was in July. I guess we could reveal the August. It'll be August, I believe, 16th and 17th. We will be in New Hampshire for our street survival seminar, and that's going to be an epic one. And Evan's going to join us for that one, right, Evan?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. We'll reveal more details as we go, but yeah, save the date, August. Let me double check. Let me make sure. I'm pretty sure it's August. Yep, August 16th and 17th. So save that date.
And is there something August 3rd as well? Is that happening?
Oh, yes. Conrad, did you want to mention that one?
August 3rd. That must be. Is that Dragon Fest?
Yeah.
All right, I need to put that on my own calendar. Yes, Dragon Fest. Come join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're just going to go there and screw around like some big martial arts nerds that we are and meet a bunch of people. And it's just a one-day thing. It's pretty quick in and out. And we're just going to go have some fun, meet people. And if you're around the area, Southern California, come on by, hang out with us, and say hi.
Yeah, it's a super cool event. A lot of martial arts nerd stuff there, and then there's like mini seminars going on all day, so you can essentially get a full day of seminar in various styles, kind of like condensed into a day. So it was pretty awesome last year. And then for our listeners, again, check the show notes down below. My Tiga Tactics book, Run If You Can, Destroy If You Must, that is out now, and I just released, although I haven't started marketing for it yet, the Combatives Blueprint, which Conrad wrote the forward for. And Patrick's mentioned in there a couple times as well. So
that'll be awesome. Is that available in hard copy?
So right now it's only available in hard copy.
Perfect. I like hard copy.
I got to do the digital version. I got to it requires a little more editing to do the digital version. But you can order that from teamstrengthspeed.com or from Amazon. Hard copy. It's like 300 pages. It's massive. There's so much information in there. It's insane. Yeah, it was a lot of work. I mean, it literally took like 5 years to write, so it's a good one.
It is good. It is good. I was very happy to be able to read the early script of that, and I'm gonna go and get the hard copy right away.
And if you're confused about what it is, basically I broke down the ranges of combat, everything from grappling all the way up through striking and to striking weapons, projectiles, and then even something I call support range, which is essentially multiple person that need to operate as a weapon system. Then I talk about mindset, I talk about nutrition, I talk about fitness. Oh, there's so much information there. It's insane. So yeah, check that out. Combatives Blueprint, it's called. And then my Patreon as well, if you want to check that out. And if you go to the Patreon page, I'm going to do a discount for the book. So signing up for a month at the $10 range, you'll make that back immediately. So I would check that out.
Very cool. And aren't you doing some Western Piper system course on there too?
Oh yeah, I just started releasing on my Patreon page Western Piper methods, just some kind of basic videos. I'm going to start teaching some online classes this summer while I have some free time. And if you're in the $10 tier on my Patreon, you'll get access to those classes. And the goal is to get a bunch of people certified onto the first level by the end of the summer. So it's a 3-level system, and yeah, a couple of the videos have been released already as far as like individual skills needed. but I'm going to do like online classes this summer. So sign up and start training with me. All right.
Very cool.
We're going to take off. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
That's right. Stay alert, stay humble, stay kind, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.